Okay. Well, first I want to address this.
The argument on the other side is, well, if we're going to give a religious accommodation to someone like Kim Davis, then we're going to have to give a religious accommodation to an untold number of people, to Catholics who don't want to issue a license to somebody who's been divorced but was married in a Catholic church and didn't get it annulled, to a Muslim clerk who doesn't want to sanction the marriage of a Christian to a Muslim, and so on. Can you understand that argument?
Be in the comment section and you get schooled, bitch. The Godless engineer.
Argument?
Well, I could if I thought it was a valid argument, because for simply the fact is that marriage is defined as one man and one woman. It's not like black and white. You're not talking about a racial issue. You're not talking about, I'm just talking about marriage in general.
But other people in other religions have their own definitions of marriage and their own beliefs on who can and cannot marry. So the critics say this is a slippery slope. If we're going to bend the law or the rules for one person with one set of objections, then we're going to have to do it for a bunch of people with other objections.
So you have millions of Christians who object this whole same-sex marriage issue. Are their rights invalid? Are their rights not worth anything? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a valid point, and it's a fight that's worth fighting for.
How about that? Because, you know, the president, even today, was talking about how in this country we stand for religious liberty. Do you believe that? Do you believe that still in the United States of America today?
In 2015, when a county clerk can go to jail because she is upholding her religious beliefs, I would have to question his statement.
So you just...
Okay, hold on. We need to go back a little bit. Kind of looks like she's looking up at Jesus for the line, doesn't it? She's kind of looking up there like, line. Yeah, yes. I hate homosexuals. I mean, it's just my beliefs. Yeah, argumentum ad populum. That's right, Ryan. Yeah. She came on and talked with Megyn Kelly about, about this stuff. And Megyn Kelly actually brought up a really good question, and that was, what about people of other faiths? And apparently, by bringing up people of other faiths, that automatically means, oh, hey, we're turning this into a racial issue. Not even close. She's redirecting it. She's throwing a red herring in there in order to distract Megyn Kelly. But Megan's smart, at least a little bit. She doesn't fall for it. She comes back in really hard with a lot of other different religions have different beliefs about what marriage is. Like, for example, there's one particular interpretation of the Quran in which you can marry little girls. Would that be acceptable to her? Would we need to make an exemption for them to be able to bring back child marriages later on, if we give the Christians these special privileges? And yes, I think that it's quite hilarious that they're saying that allowing homosexuals to get married, which is the same rights as everybody else, is special privileges when they themselves are actually asking for special privileges. I think it's completely ridiculous for her to actually get on national television and be like, oh, no, yeah, it's completely different. It's not like the whole segregation thing. When it's exactly like the whole segregation thing back in the 1950s. Every single thing that happened during, before marriage equality really became spread out through the United States. We saw the exact same things happening during the 1950s in the Civil Rights era. I mean, the exact fucking things. They started shutting down places or shutting down, stuff to prevent desegregation. Just like they started not issuing marriage licenses. It's totally fucking ridiculous. And then right there at the end, saying that she was jailed because of her faith. That's such a crock of shit. It really is. Because she wasn't jailed because of her faith. She was jailed because she didn't listen to the goddamn boss. And in her position, she can get thrown in jail for not listening to her boss. So that's completely on her. All right.
Ben Carson also very deep in his faith, and he made the comments about a Muslim possibly becoming president. Do you disagree, agree with him, or do you think he went too far?
Well, it's not whether I agree or disagree. Here's the point. There is no religious test to hold public office in America. I'm less concerned about what faith a person has. I'm more concerned about the authenticity of their faith and how that plays out in their policies. I'm also concerned about a guy that believes he's a Christian and pretends to be, and then and says he is, but then does things that makes it very difficult for people to practice their Christian faith. I'm disappointed if a person says, I'm a Christian, but you invite the Pope into your home, and then you invite a whole bunch of people who are at odds with the Catholic Church church policy. I think there's something very unseemly about that.
And it would seem that even the Vatican themselves are actually very concerned about whom.
Okay, so basically what he's saying right here is he's knocking Barack Obama for inviting an LGBT group into the White House to meet the Pope, and he's saying that Obama's not really a Christian, which is just a no true Scotsman fallacy. But I mean, why does he act like any kind of anything that could possibly insult his petty little god is somehow stifling them or is somehow making it hard to practice their religion? Just simply having an LGBT group inside your home isn't going to make it hard for you to be bigoted. You would think you'd jump on that shit if you wanted to really be that way. And it's just, Mike Huckabee is just the worst candidate, in my opinion, on the board right now. Next to Ben Carson, I mean, those two are really running hard for the craziest motherfuckers in the race right now. But to say that Barack Obama isn't Christian simply because he's treating people equally is just horseshit. I mean, you know, I'm a militant atheist. I'm as militant as they come. But at the same time, it's like, you know, I'm not going to sit here and say, hey, you're not a real Christian. I'm going to say, hey, you got a fucked up way of implementing your faith. But I'm not going to say, hey, you're not a Christian. That's just ridiculous. Okay, last in the next 18 months. The idiot.
Then that the body of Christ rise up, then that Christians stand up, that pastors stand up and lead. And in this last election, 54 million evangelical Christians stayed home.
How many?
There are 90 million evangelicals nationwide. 54 million stayed home.
Many of those not even registered.
That's exactly right. If we can simply bring shameful. Christians to the polls, is it any wonder we have the government we have the leaders we have, if believers stay home and leave electing our leaders to unbelievers? We get exactly what we deserve, and nothing is more important than having people of faith stand up and just vote our values, vote biblical values, and that's how we turn the country around.
I want to ask you one other thing that I don't know.
Okay, basically what Ted Cruz is saying here is that we need to turn America into a theocracy, only voting in biblical values, biblical traditions by biblical people, not allowing the unbelievers or non-believers or the nuns category in this country to dictate who gets to run us, but that it needs to be people of Christ who dictate who officiates or governs our land, and therefore creating a theocracy, which is just going to turn out horrible. There's nothing about a theocracy that is going to be good. Just look at Iran. They're killing homosexuals in the streets. They're tossing them off buildings. I mean, if you really wanted to go by biblical values, you would still be selling your daughter for 2 goats in a field. Some shit. I don't know. Whatever the fuck they used to sell their daughters for back then. The fact is they sold their daughters into sexual slavery. And now they're acting like, oh yeah, that's not what it means. No. It just means giving them some money and, you know, shoving them out the door. That's all that means. No. There's no way that a theocracy can be good. at all. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and kill my son just because he mouths off to me a little bit. I'm not going to go to Leviticus and be like, let's see, what's the punishment for you fucking the neighbor? Death. Good. I get to kill you right out in the street. Motherfucker. Ted Cruz, I mean, come on, Huckabee, Cruz, and whoever that other fucker was, Ben Carson, all those fuckers are just, they don't need to be running for presidency. They have their heads way too far up Jesus's ass while sucking his dick at the same time. I don't know how they do it, but they do. Maybe Jesus has it tucked, and then their nose is up Jesus's ass, and then I don't know.